I want to show you something. This is my journal from 30 days ago. And this is my journal from today. I am going to read you one entry from each. And I want you to decide for yourself whether anything changed. I read Atomic Habits by James Clear for 30 days. Not just read it, I tried to live it. This is the diary. Day 1. I opened Atomic Habits with low expectations. I had read self-help books before. They all said the same things. But the first chapter stopped me. James Clear was hit in the face by a baseball bat at 15. He woke up from a coma, not remembering his mother's name. And I thought, if a story starts there, maybe this book is different. Day 2. I read about the 1% rule. That getting 1% better every single day means you end up 37 times better by the end of the year. I did the math twice because I did not believe it. I sat with that number for a long time. Day 3. The ice cube metaphor. A room warms from 25 degrees to 31 degrees. The ice sits unchanged. Nothing happens. Then 32 degrees. It melts. The work was never wasted. It was always being stored. I kept thinking about all the things I had given up just before the ice would have melted. Day 4. Clear explains that most people try to change from the outside in. They set a goal and hope the identity follows. But the only lasting change starts from the inside, with who you believe you are. I put the book down and asked myself honestly, who do I believe I am right now? Day 5. The habit loop. Every habit follows the same 4 steps. Cue, craving, response, reward. What fascinated me was this. Most of our habits run completely without our awareness. We are not choosing them. They are choosing us. I started noticing my own patterns for the first time. Day 6. Implementation intentions. The study where simply writing down when and where you will exercise made people 3 times more likely to do it. Not motivation, not willpower, just a sentence. I wrote mine down that evening and felt foolishly hopeful about it. Day 7. 1 week in. I had read half the book and tried exactly one thing, putting my book on my pillow, so it was the last thing I saw before bed. I read 12 pages every night this week. It does not sound like much. Clear says that is exactly the point. Day 8. The first hard day. I did not feel like reading. I did not feel like doing anything I had decided to do. I remembered what Clear writes about motivation, that it is unreliable. A feeling that comes and goes. The system is supposed to work, even when the feeling does not show up. I tested that today. Day 9. I read about environment design. The hospital that moved water bottles next to every food station and watched soda sales drop without anyone making a single decision. I looked around my room and saw how much my environment was designed for distraction. And none of it for anything I actually wanted. Day 10. I rearranged my room. I put my phone charger in the hallway. I moved my books to my nightstand. It took 15 minutes. It felt almost too simple to matter. Clear says, the environment is the invisible hand that shapes behavior. I decided to trust that. Day 11. The Vietnam Heroin Study. 95% of soldiers who were addicted to heroin in Vietnam stopped within a year of coming home. Without treatment. Without willpower programs. Because the environment changed completely. Discipline is not a character trait. It is a design problem. Day 12. I missed my reading last night. I fell asleep before I got to it. I woke up feeling like I had failed. Then I remembered, never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit. I read 20 pages this morning before I got out of bed. Day 13. The 2-minute rule. Any new habit should start as something that takes less than 2 minutes to do. Not because 2 minutes is the goal, but because starting is the whole problem. Once you are in motion, continuing is easy. I stopped trying to read for an hour. I started trying to open the book. Day 14. 2 weeks. Halfway. I have read every day except one. I have moved my phone charger to the hallway and have not moved it back. These are small things. But they are things that are simply happening now. Not things I am deciding every day. Day 15. Something is different today. I do not know exactly what or exactly when it changed. I just noticed that the book is already open before I have consciously decided to open it. My hands did it. That is what habits feel like when they are working. Not discipline, not effort. Just automatic. Day 16. The identity chapter, again. Clear says every time you take an action consistent with the person you want to be, you cast a vote for that identity. I have cast 14 votes for being someone who reads. 14 is not many, but it is more than I had last month. Day 17. I started noticing the habit loop in everything around me. The way the sound of a notification makes me reach for my phone before I have decided to. The way certain hours of the day make me want tea and something quiet. Habits are everywhere. I was just not watching. Day 18. I tried temptation bundling. I told myself I could only listen to the music I love while I exercise. The walk I took today was the longest one I have taken in months. Not because I was more motivated, because something I wanted was attached to something I needed. It worked in a way that felt almost unfair. Day 19. The Goldilocks rule. Humans are most motivated when working on tasks at the edge of their current ability. Not too easy, boring. Not too hard, overwhelming. Right at the edge. I thought about all the habits I had quit because they were either too ambitious or too boring to maintain. Day 20. Clear writes that the greatest threat to good habits is not failure. It is boredom. The professionals who separate themselves from amateurs are not more talented. They are more willing to show up on the days when the work is boring. I thought about how many times I had quit something not because it was hard, but because it had stopped being interesting. Day 21. 3 weeks. I put on the gym shoes that have been by my door since day 10. I did not exercise for long. Clear says the 2-minute rule means the goal is just to start, just to become someone who shows up. I showed up today. That counts. Day 22. I keep coming back to the identity question. Not what do I want to achieve, but who do I want to become? I have been writing in my journal again, not because I set a journaling goal, but because I start every morning now with a glass of water and a quiet 10 minutes. And somewhere in that quiet, I started writing. Day 23. I thought about identity from the outside. If someone watched my days this past week, what would they say I was? They would say I am someone who reads every day, walks every other day, drinks water first thing, and sleeps with no phone in the room. That person sounds like someone I would respect. Day 24. The book talks about the downside of good habits. That once something becomes automatic, you stop improving at it. The chef who has cooked a dish 1,000 times can now think about creativity instead of technique. Habits free up the mind for the next thing. I started thinking about what my next thing is. Day 25. I reread my day, one entry in my journal. The person who wrote it was skeptical, tired, had been here before and expected nothing. I recognize her. But I am not quite her anymore. It is 1 degree, maybe 2, but 2 degrees over 25 days is not nothing. Day 26. My phone charger is still in the hallway. I stopped noticing this around day 18, which means it worked. That is what habit design looks like when it has succeeded. The effort disappears. You stop fighting yourself. The environment does the work your willpower used to do. Day 27. Something clear writes near the end. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I have written this down 4 times now, in 4 different places. It is the sentence this entire book is built around. And after 27 days, I believe it in my body, not just my head. Day 28. I told someone about this book today. Not in a way that sounded like an advertisement. Just naturally, in conversation. That is the real sign that something has worked its way in. When it becomes part of how you think, not just what you are doing. Day 29. The last chapter. Clear ends with a question that I keep sitting with. What is the type of person I want to be? And what would that person do today? Not someday. Not when I am ready. Today. I wrote my answer down. I am not ready to say it out loud yet, but I know it. Day 30. The last day. I finished the book 6 days ago. I am still here. The phone charger is still in the hallway. The book is still on the nightstand. The glass of water is still on the desk. I walked this morning without deciding to. I read last night without remembering to. These things are just part of how my days work now. That is the whole point. That is what a habit actually is. If you want to read this book, and I think you should, the link to Atomic Habits on Amazon is in the description. It is an affiliate link, which means I earn a small commission if you buy, at no extra cost to you. And if you prefer to listen, James Clear narrates the audiobook himself, which makes it even better. There is an Audible link in the description too. 30 days free. 1 book to keep. No pressure. I am not telling you it will change your life. I am telling you it changed mine. In small ways. In the ways that last. The next 30 days, I am reading a different book. And I will do this again. A new diary. A new 30 days. A new question to sit with. If you want to read along, subscribe. The next one is already waiting. And I wonder if you have felt this too. That something you almost did not start turned out to be the thing you most needed.